Chicago doesn't sound like other cities. It doesn't just play music, it moves bodies. It doesn't just set trends, it creates movements. In the late 70s, disco was getting pushed out of the mainstream. But in Chicago, disco wasn't dead, it was evolving. At clubs like The Warehouse, a young DJ named Frankie Knuckles was blending disco, soul, and gospel with tape edits and extended breakdowns. He wasn't just playing records, he was building a new form. Frankie slowed things down. He layered in percussion. He added rhythm boxes like the Roland TR 909, and the drum loop started to hit differently. It was sensual, it was spiritual, it was Chicago. But Frankie wasn't alone. Across town, DJs like Ron Hardy were taking things in a harder, faster direction. His residency at the Music Box turned house into something raw, sweaty, and unpredictable. Hardy would loop a track until the crowd cracked open. He'd play unreleased records, he'd push tempos, he made the booth into a laboratory. And then came the producers, Marshall Jefferson, Larry Heard, DJ Pierre. These weren't pop stars. They were warehouse scientists. Armed with drum machines, samplers, and keyboards, they crafted the blueprints for deep house, acid house, and jackin' house. House wasn't clean, it was imperfect, human. It hissed, it bled emotion. It sounded like the basement, the block, the soul. The Chicago house sound was all filling. No massive drops, no vocals shouting at you, just groove, just movement, just release. Take a record like Can You Feel It by Larry Heard. It's not loud, it's not fast, but it's eternal. A meditation on rhythm, a slow burn gospel with machines. Take Lil Louis's French Kiss, a 10-minute epic. Half of it is just one synth note bending time, but the entire world danced to it. Chicago House was about the club, but also about community. Black, queer, immigrant, working class. It was music for those who needed release when the world offered them none. The kick drum was a heartbeat. The bass line was memory. The vocal samples were affirmations. You didn't just dance to it, you surrendered to it. You became one with the room, the people, the sweat, the story. Every record store, every dusty crate in Chicago held something sacred. You didn't pick songs, you picked energy. This is what Chicago sounds like. It jacks, it grooves, it heals, it liberates. This is not just house music. This is the music that made the world dance. But the sound didn't stop in the 80s. It evolved, it adapted, and a new generation picked up where the pioneers left off. The clubs were different. The gear changed, but the mission stayed the same. Keep the people dancing. Keep the soul alive. Derrick Carter didn't just play house, he made it bounce. In the early 90s, when house was becoming more polished and club-friendly, Carter brought it back to the floor, raw, funky, and relentless. He looped disco breaks until they hypnotized you. He chopped vocals like drum fills. He could flip a forgotten soul record into a hands-in-the-air moment with nothing but EQ and instinct. His sets were joyful chaos. You never knew what was next, but it always made sense. DJ Sneak, born in Puerto Rico, raised in Chicago, he fused Latin percussion with Chicago groove and laid the groundwork for what became French Filter House. Before Daft Punk blew up, they were listening to Sneak. He made samples sound like instruments, looping funky guitar riffs and horn stabs through walls of drums. He called it jackin'. The world called it fresh. To this day, his sound is the heartbeat of many warehouse floors. Mark Farina didn't just DJ. He told stories. While the others were pumping four on the floor, Farina was blending mellow hip-hop drums with jazzy keys and warm bass lines. He created a new space, not quite house, not quite hip-hop, but something smoother. Mushroom jazz became a cult classic, the type of mix you played at 3 a.m. or on a long drive. He made you nod instead of fist pump. And in doing so, he became one of the most sampled sounding DJs without ever needing to rhyme. Green Velvet was Chicago's wild card. Also known as Cashmere, he made some of the funkiest house music ever under one name, and some of the weirdest techno ever under the other. Tracks like Percolator didn't just bang, they warped time. Velvet brought theatrics to the booth, sunglasses, neon hair, and vocals that sounded like robots having a spiritual crisis. He brought punk attitude to house. And even in the age of USBs, he still brings records. Gene Farris kept the soul alive. With buttery vocals, deep bass, and jazzy keys, he represented the bridge between old school house and global deep house. He played for the heads, but always had the floor in mind. Honey Dijon? She became a cultural force. She didn't just spin, she curated, she designed, she educated. She brought house back to high fashion and took Chicago's sound to Berlin, Paris, New York, and back. She reminds the world that house started with the queer, the marginalized, the visionary, and it still belongs to them. Across decades and continents, one thing stayed true. Chicago house music is still about unity. It doesn't care what's on the charts. It cares what's in your chest. Whether you're in a 50-person loft party or a 50,000-person festival, if the beat feels honest, if the groove feels real, you're in the right place. That's the Chicago standard. From Frankie to Farina, from Knuckles to Carter, from Hardy to Dijon. Chicago didn't just make house music. Chicago is house music. Subscribe for the stories still shaking dance floors.